I don't want to say the word Armageddon, but it's borderline Armageddon.
That's William Hanson, a manners expert from the United Kingdom, imagining a world without etiquette.
That is a world without rules, and it would be complete chaos.
While this doesn't describe the world we live in today, there are some indicators that attention to courtesy is in decline. Nearly 3/4 of Americans surveyed think manners and behavior have deteriorated in the United States in the past few decades. Zoom in on behavior at the dinner table. Things like texting or browsing the internet while you're having a meal with someone, it's becoming more common. And more than half of those surveyed are not okay with this. It's not just a Western concern. Japan recently deployed an etiquette squad to revive politeness. South Korea now has laws that govern online etiquette. One Russian blogger even asked his country to examine its rude behavior for the sake of the nation's survival. Seems alarming. Are things really that serious? Surely, human civilization is strong enough to withstand any supposed harm caused by a handful of disparaging comments or elbows on the table. I asked William and Eater's executive editor Helen Rosner to help me figure this out. While we focus on behavior around meals, the ideas themselves apply across pretty much all social interactions.
The root of all manners and all etiquette and all of politeness is making sure that your experience is not infringing on someone else's experience.
It's about efficiency.
It keeps things more pleasant.
At the dinner table, this includes practical rules like putting your napkin on your lap and not chewing with your mouth open.
The reason we shouldn't chew with our mouth open is not because it's not fun or it's not easy, but because it's kind of gross for someone else to see the food that's in your mouth.
As for this seemingly outdated silverware setup, according to Helen, even this has a practical purpose.
If people are constantly leaning over and adding more silverware, it adds time, it adds a lot of clattering noise. It becomes really intrusive to the flow of my experience at the table if I'm having conversations with the people that I'm sitting near.
But let's say you've never touched a salad fork in your life. Being in this situation for the first time can be overwhelming.
I don't know about you, but I've never been able to figure which goes with what.
In cases like this, Helen has some advice.
Always go from the outside in.
But if you forget that, or are confronted with a completely different situation for which you are not prepared,
you can always ask. And if you don't feel comfortable asking, you can just wait and see what everybody else does.
This is a very practical take on etiquette's role today. But for William, etiquette takes on a greater significance.
If we didn't have etiquette, people would not be experiencing the full flavour and taste and desired impact of whatever dish or menu that they were sitting down to eat.
I asked him if there was something beautiful or elevated about old school traditions around meals.
They are, I suppose, in a way, an art form. If some chef has slaved over your meal and thought in great depth about the menu creation, where the ingredients are coming from, how to cook it, how to present it, you owe it to him to eat it in a nice way rather than wolf it down.
From this perspective, the diner isn't simply eating for sustenance. She or he is a spectator and even a participant in a performance.
It's showing respect to the chef by saying, this is special to me, this experience is special. I'm not dressing up because you are too great to see me in my casual clothes. I'm getting dressed up because it makes me feel like I'm having an experience that isn't my everyday experience.
There's something to this. Studies have shown that when we ritualize our meals, they taste better. An action as simple as taking the time to unwrap and break up a bar of chocolate, rather than diving straight into the whole slab, has been shown to increase a person's enjoyment of their snack. But when rituals are strictly enforced,
there are times when it can start to feel really oppressive.
For as long as manners have existed,
the rules that went along with them were usually a pretty clear way to indicate who was in an in-group or who was in an out-group.
Think Downton Abbey.
Is it an Irish tradition?
What? She means not changing.
In this scene, a lower-class character who married into the family is snubbed for rejecting traditional customs.
You should buy a Downton wardrobe and leave it here. Then you won't have to pack when you come.
I'm sorry, but I'm afraid I can't turn into somebody else just to please you.
More's the pity.
The rules of etiquette inevitably wind up being taken to a fairly absurd place. The institutional imperative just takes over.
This is when people forget the overarching goal of making everyone comfortable.
It becomes about the rules themselves, and it almost becomes the game.
Another thing to consider is that table rituals vary across the world. In America, you switch hands after cutting off a piece of food. In Europe, you don't.
In strict Thai etiquette, Thai food is eaten with a fork and spoon, but unlike American food where we put our forks directly in our mouths all the time, with Thai food, if you're going to be really strict about it, you should never put your fork in your mouth. You should use your fork to put food into your spoon.
So in a diverse place like the United States, how do we reconcile all these rivaling ways to eat in a quote-unquote civil manner?
It's all about cross-cultural awareness, really. You behave according to the situation you are in.
According to William's school of thought, if you don't know, do your homework.
A lot of it is on the internet, so ignorance is no no excuse.
While Helen, on the other hand, says that people from different backgrounds can collide, and there can be room for mishaps without dire consequences.
I don't think anybody, at least not for 100 years, has gotten into trouble or messed up their life by using the wrong fork. The only thing that's ruder than having poor table manners is calling someone out on having poor table manners. As long as you're not being an you're doing better than 99% of people on Earth.
What would it mean to say that meat has male connotations? That's what the Craper was asking.